So Timothy Bradley wins a 12-round split decision over Juan Manuel Marquez to retain his WBO welterweight title. This fight was a chess match from start to finish. There was brief exchanges here and there, which, were fairly exciting exchanges, but for the most part, this was a chess match. It was the fight I expected it to be. Tim Bradley on his back foot, using his superior foot speed, using his longer reach and faster hands to frustrate Marquez. A lot of people, seem to get the impression that because Bradley was nearly knocked out by Provodnikov, that he would simply be destroyed by Marquez. But, styles make fights. Marquez has never been a pressure fighter. He's never been a pressure fighter. So I knew going into this fight that Bradley would have a lot more space to move around the ring, and he'd have a lot more time to get his punches off than he did against Provodnikov, who was pressuring him all the time. Two completely different styles. And I've always felt from the very beginning that Tim Bradley had the boxing skills to outbox Juan Manuel Marquez. What I didn't know is whether Bradley would be the same after the Provodnikov fight, because Bradley himself said that he suffered neurological problems after the Provodnikov fight. He was slurring his speech for several weeks after the fight, and that's very worrying. Sometimes damaging fights like that can end the fighter's career. So I didn't know how Bradley was going to react when he got hit against Marquez. I knew he had the skills to outbox him. I knew he'd be able to, use his legs and frustrate him. But there was just that thing in my head thinking, okay, when he gets tagged, are we going to see the same reaction that we saw in the Provodnikov fight where Bradley goes down and his legs are gone? Are we going to see that same thing happen? But we didn't see that happen in this fight because, to be honest with you, Marquez did catch Bradley with a few shots, but he never really managed to catch Bradley like the way he caught Pacquiao. So we never really saw if Bradley's chin is the same as it was before the Provodnikov fight, to be honest, because Marquez wasn't able to catch Bradley flush enough to really test his chin. The times when he did catch Bradley, Bradley was moving away, he was rolling with punches, and in fact, it was clear to me that Bradley had taken a leaf out of Floyd Mayweather's book. He'd obviously studied the Mayweather-Marquez fight very, very closely, and he was actually using a little shoulder roll in this fight. Yeah, he'd looked at the Mayweather blueprint and thought, that's how you beat Marquez. Let me try and replicate exactly what Floyd did. And he did a fairly good job. Not as good as Floyd did, don't get it confused, but he did a fairly good job of replicating what Mayweather did. Frustrated Marquez. Marquez has always had slow feet. Yeah, that's nothing new. That's nothing that should surprise anyone. That's not because he's old. He's always had slow feet, especially as he's moved up in weight. His feet have got slower and slower. He relies on you coming to him. But with a guy like Bradley, who's got longer arms and faster feet, there wasn't many opportunities there for Marquez to land counters. And when Bradley started his attacks, he was able to pull out very quickly a lot of the time to avoid the counters from Marquez. Bradley was much better when he was leading off, using his jab, staying busy. And Marquez was better with the counters, with the more solid punches, the counters. But I personally did not think the fight was the shutout that a lot of people seem to think it was. A lot of people on Facebook and the Sky commentators thought that it was a landslide victory for Tim Bradley. I actually thought the fight was pretty close. Yeah, I did have Bradley winning myself, but I did not see this as a shutout, boxing lesson that he gave Marquez. I personally didn't see it that way. I thought the fight was fairly close, but I thought the right man got the victory. And again, it was a split decision. One of the judges had Marquez winning. Some people could say that judge was maybe paid off. I mean, who knows? But personally, I didn't think the fight was as one-sided as other people did. I thought Marquez was doing some decent work in there. A lot of the time, Bradley's punches were hitting Marquez's gloves and, being blocked. But to be fair, he was the more busy. But Marquez was landing some eye-catching shots in there. But end of the day, I think the right man won. Bradley did his thing. And once and for all, we can lay this foolishness to rest. Because I said a long time ago, I did a video on this channel well over a year ago, and the video is still up. Go search it on my channel. The video is called Tim Bradley is Underrated. Yeah, and I've been saying for a long time this guy's underrated, so let's put this whole idea to bed that Bradley is a hype job. He's never been a hype job. How the hell could this guy's the opposite of a hype job? This guy's had one of the toughest careers in boxing today. Yeah, this guy's gone up against undefeated fighter after undefeated fighter after undefeated fighter and taken their O. Right, he took Devon Alexander 0. He took Louis Abregu's O. He took Junior Witter's title. He took who else was it? Laurent Peterson's O. Right, this guy has literally fought so many undefeated fighters, way more undefeated fighters than pretty much anyone else in boxing over the last 5 years. Yeah, so Tim Bradley's never got the respect that he deserves. People, I mean, I couldn't believe some of the things people used to say about Bradley, or people have been saying about Bradley, saying that he don't have boxing skills, that he's just a crude fighter that gets by on his toughness. Absolute foolishness. You know, Bradley's always had boxing skills. Go back and look at the Junior Witter fight. Go look at the Lewis Abregu fight. He's always had amazing, well, not amazing, but he's always had very good boxing skills. He's always been a good boxer. He's a chameleon in the ring. He can fight various different styles. And in this fight against Marquez, we saw the slick Tim Bradley in this fight. He was using slickness. He was using movement. He was, you know, keeping Marquez off balance, wasn't allowing Marquez to set up his counters the way that he normally does against over-aggressive fighters. He knew going into the fight that being over-aggressive would play into Marquez's hands, and he didn't want to fall into that trap. So, you know, overall, I think it was a good performance. Again, Bradley did get a little bit reckless at times, but you know, that's just him. You know, he has a very, very big heart, and you know, in those reckless moments, you know, those are the times when you expected maybe Bradley to get caught and hurt. But strangely enough, the closest we came to a knockdown in this fight was actually in the 12th round, when Marquez got caught with a left hook from Bradley and nearly went down. Marquez wasn't seriously hurt or anything. He was kind of caught off balance, but Bradley did nearly drop him with a left hand in the last round. But, you know, overall, I think it was a good performance from Bradley. He showed, hopefully, once and for all the naysayers, that he can actually box. And he is a skilled fighter. Yeah, he's very, very smart, Tim Bradley. He's always been that way. I've said that from the beginning. And like I say, as far as the Provodnikov situation goes, again, we never really saw him clocked properly in this fight. You know, I mean, we saw him hit hard against Kendall Holt, and we saw that he was able to recover very quickly against Kendall Holt. We never really saw him hit like that in the Marquez fight. So to me, it's still a little bit of an open question as to how Tim Bradley's chin is after the Provodnikov situation. And I guess we'll find out down the line. But as far as this fight here with Marquez, he passed the test. He outboxed Marquez. And hopefully now he gets his respect, because there's been a lot of people. I had to, you know, talk to someone on Facebook today who was saying they hope Bradley gets what he deserves tonight, in terms of they hope he gets knocked out. I'm thinking, how the hell can you hate Bradley? I don't get it. Bradley's come up the hard way. He's the opposite of a hype job. This guy's had a very hard career. He's been matched with very, very tough opponents from the very beginning. You know, very few fighters in boxing have had as hard a career and have been matched as hard as Tim Bradley's been matched. You know, so he's come up the hard way. He ain't had nothing handed to him apart from the Pacquiao decision. Yeah. But then Pacquiao got, you know, a gift decision against Marquez in the third fight, you know, according to most people. So I didn't see people angry at Pacquiao for that. But all of a sudden people want to be angry at Bradley for the Pacquiao decision. It wasn't Bradley's fault. It was the judge's fault. So don't be angry at Bradley. Be angry at the judges. You know, some people said that Bradley should have given up his belt, you know, and admitted that Pacquiao beat him. Well, I didn't see Pacquiao giving up his belt in the third Marquez fight and admitting that Marquez beat him. I mean, what nonsense, man. You know, the guy's obviously going to hold on to his belt because there's money in the belt. You understand? So hopefully now all this foolishness can be laid to rest, and Bradley will finally get the respect that he's deserved all these years, because his respect is long overdue. Now, he's never going to be everyone's cup of tea. He's not a puncher. He don't have the prettiest boxing style, but he is very smart. And he's very cagey. And as you can see right here now, you know, he's capable of boxing and outboxing fighters at the very highest level. In terms of where he goes next, he'll be looking for that Mayweather fight, you know, or possibly the winner of Pacquiao Rios. Apparently, he's only got, I believe, 1 or 2 fights left on with his in his contract with Top Rank. He's only got 1 or 2 fights left. So, you know, he might make a move after that. He might maybe take another Pacquiao fight, or, you know, fight one of the contenders in the division and then make a move over to Golden Boy. I think it'd be much better for him to be with Golden Boy at this stage, because that's where the money is in the division, you know. So, you know, we'll see where he goes from here. As far as Marquez, you know, there's a Pacquiao fight there for him now. You know, if Pacquiao comes through Brandon Rios, he might want the Marquez fight still, you know, and Marquez ain't got nowhere else to go. So he might as well fight Pacquiao. You understand? So anyway, hit me up in the comments. It's been quite a long video. Let me know how you felt about this performance. Did you think that it was a shutout that some people did, or did you think that the fight was actually a little bit closer than a lot of people had it? Where do you see Bradley going from here? Where do you see Marquez going from here? And like I say, enough of all the Bradley hate. There's no reason to hate this guy. Yeah, he's not a big mouth or anything like that. No reason to hate the guy. Yeah, he got one, fortunate decision in his career. Well, hey, Pacquiao's had a fortunate decision too. I don't see no one hating on him for that. I don't see the same people hating on Bradley, hating on Pacquiao. So give the guy a break. Give him his dues. He is a good boxer. He is talented. So yeah, hit me up in the comments. This is Hatman. I'm out.